talk to me a little bit about professional wrestling and maybe some of your fandom or favorite moments. Anything in that, or have you also had the ebbs and flows following it?
Yeah, I mean, when we were kids, it was WWF. So we come from the Hulkamania era. You know what I mean? Andre the Giant, Iron
Yeah.
Sheik, Hulk Hogan. I mean, the list goes on. But when it reformed at WWE, because Ray is actually one of our good boys from here in the South. So we went to the same school together.
Oh shit.
We were tinkering around with music, and he was, crossing the border and wrestling down in TJ Lucha Libre, and when we kind of found a little success at the same time, um, we reconnected on some other things. But then he had already had the song, his walkout song, with another local Chicano rapper here in San Diego called Mad One, and then so the WWE had done at the time they wanted to do a lot of their remixes, their walkout song remixes, and kind of add maybe like a little metal, flair to it, or a rock and roll flair to it. So, I'm pretty sure it was Ray that put in the word for us and said, well, if we're gonna pick a rock band, I'm gonna pick P.O.D. Those are my boys. So we got the call, and it was a no brainer. It was like, all right, all we had to do is kind of remix it with some guitars and bass and drums, to add some extra vocals. And I mean, it's been a pleasure and an honor ever since. We actually did the WrestleMania in Chicago when Ray got the belt, and so
Oh
we've been able to be a part of that.
yeah.
Every time they come through San Diego, if I want, I hit up the homie, the hookup, and say, hey, I want to bring my kids through, and they're always so gracious, even to come out and meet my kids and stuff. So they've been good to us. So I think just recently when they did WrestleMania, we have a friend he's a DJ, this kid who's coming up, and we're trying to get him to remix one of our songs, and I guess he said, oh dude, I'm going to WrestleMania. And I was like, hold on, let me put you in contact with my boy. Maybe he could, it's WrestleMania, he might not have a shot, but we'll see. So at least they got in contact, and he told them, hey, whenever we come through, the area, you can just hit me up, you know what I mean? So yeah, they've been good to us.
Dude, that's rad. I mean, I expect they've been good to you after playing it and having your song involved and through the business relationship. But I had no idea. I mean, I knew Ray grew up in the area, but I didn't know you guys knew each other. That's pretty cool, man. I
Yeah,
mean, you must have you guys. I mean, in the '90s before he blew up in WWE, he
yeah,
was going he was helping create the big part of WCW's cruiserweight.
yeah,
And I mean
yeah.
that was massive. That was a company coming out of the south on the east side of the country. I mean, were you guys in contact during the '90s as well, or was it more like you guys went to the school together, kind of didn't talk for a while, and then came back in the WWF?
Yeah, yeah. It was more like, I mean, I'm sure just as much as it was a whirlwind for us coming up, it was for him too. So it wasn't, yeah, there was no contact. Just we were all kind of in our own separate worlds. And then I want to say it was towards the end of the '90s into the 2000s when we reconnected. And then, we would do some WWE events, like, when they had their video game, and, they invite us to come out, and, we'd play a couple tunes or whatever, just be a part of their little party there and entourage. And
Right.
um, but yeah, we've always stayed in contact ever since. And then even when Ray, because then he would move around, and then he's back in San Diego. Whenever he would in San Diego, and he would do like go speak at a school, or do something. It was a lot of my people that would help him get to do a lot of the community stuff and give back to San Diego. So whenever they would ask him to do it, there's a lot of times when being nervous to do it, he'd say, well, can you get Sonny to come out, just basically to do it together, so we can it would it'd be a little easier, and
Mm.
get Sonny, and then we'd have Frankie J, just a couple of the local boys that we all grew up in the same area. And then so a handful of times we'd go speak to schools, do some charity events together, toy drives, stuff like that, just so it just we helped each other get involved, and stay busy with the community. So yeah, all the guys, they're all giving back to San Diego.
Dude, and it's so awesome to hear. And like you still, I know that you still with the Whosoever and some other
Mm,
projects, YMCA. I know you're still involved with all that stuff. It's very cool to see that you are very, very much still giving back even today. You know, and in your
thanks, man.
community. So I'll definitely give you props on that. You're a better man than me. But
Yeah, no, no, no way, man. Your thanks means more than you know. So don't,
Yeah,
yeah,
man. But
be
I do
easy.
want
It's
to go a
good.
little. So on the while we're still talking about Rey Mysterio and wrestling today, I mean, you gotta see that the LWO is coming back and or is back, not coming back. I mean, you saw it at WrestleMania 40. They're bringing it back in a great way. I mean, and Rey Mysterio's son Dominic killing it. I
Yeah,
mean, he's
Dom.
one of my favorite heels right now, dude. And I gotta ask the question of like when you, I mean, this what we're talking about in the early 2000s, late 90s. I mean, that's now almost 25 years ago. It's 25 years ago,
Yeah,
right? 24. Um, I mean, Dominic must have been probably a toddler, a
baby.
baby at that time.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Dominic too? Like, was it that kind of closeness with Ray?
We're all kind of in our own worlds, but we're never. And like I said, Ray, he moved back and forth, but there was times when, whether it was events or even just run into him, you can, back in the day, you can run into at your local taco shop. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Ray would be right there. But this was before even when people knew what his face looked like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then when you're in San Diego, it's not. I mean, wrestling's that's a whole nother level than rock and roll. You know what I mean? But that's like superstar status. You know what I mean? So when I walk around, it's like, oh, that's the homie from San Diego. He's a good old boy from San Diego. It's like you see Ray and everybody, the kids, everybody's still like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, not too long ago. It seemed you could just go to your local taco shop or whatever restaurant. All of a sudden, Ray would be sitting there with his family, kids. So but to watch Dominic come up now, it's huge, and it just seems like it happened. I mean, I know he's been working hard for a long time, but to watch to watch where it's going right now, it's like he's no longer an extra. You know what I mean? He's no
Oh, dude,
longer like
he's got one of the
a
one of the
little
hottest.
episode.
He's got one
Yeah,
of the hottest parts going right now, man. I
yeah,
love the dirty
yeah,
dom the dirty dom going the getting out of prison and everything, man.
dude,
It's classic fun heel to me in the wrestling world,
yeah,
and I think. And honestly, for him, I'm so happy for him and Ray because when they first brought him in, they kind of and I could draw comparisons here. Maybe we could see what the future is, but like
yeah,
when a guy like The Rock, who just headlined 2 nights, coming back and when he first came in as Rocky Maivia, he was getting booed. Like no one liked him as a baby
yeah,
face. Similar to
yeah.
Dom, everybody on all the wrestling trolls and everything on social media. This
Oh
guy's
yeah,
too green. He's just riding off the coattails of his dad. Yada 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 yada. And as soon as
yeah,
they figured out the character was the issue, not necessarily Dom, and they gave him a good character and a good
yeah.
storyline here. Now he's flourishing, and I for one am so happy to see it.
No, me too, bro. And it was hard to watch. You know what I mean? When it was all happening, it was like this was it's just way too close to home and personal. And you start to cringe. You're like, ooh, this is getting too personal. You know what I mean? But to see him doing it on his own right now, yeah, I'm happy for that whole family, man.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.